What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 961 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I feel a little threatened because usually I'm the one who addresses them as the Crisis Actors, not you. So I feel like my territory is being encroached upon right now.
So
I feel unsafe.
When I do solo videos, I try to also include it, so now it's becoming
See,
habit.
You know what's crazy about that is that I came up with that. I'm just saying, I said it as a joke at first, and then it just stuck because it really works with the name of the channel, and most people don't get the context when they hear it for the first time. But you guys were like, oh, you were acting like you can't say that on YouTube.
No, we
like,
asked them. We asked them if we
like,
could make merch with it. They said no because it was around
for
the
the
time.
merch. That's a different situation, but maybe not in 2025. Maybe we need to reconsider Crisis Actor merch. But back then, even you guys were like, oh, like I don't know how I feel about you saying that on YouTube. Because it was a different time.
It was a different time.
Yeah, now it's like no one would bat an eye.
Now I do A/B thumbnail tests where I put swear words with asterisks, and every single time that thumbnail does better.
Anyway, guys, we're saying hello to the Crisis Actors. We're also saying hello to the Crisis Actors who are in crisis, the concerned citizens in the audience. And I first want to address this $20 super chat from Shane H. Wilder. Happy Friday, Brett and Mary. Man, you guys pulled an end of season cliffhanger yesterday. Is the remote permanent, and why the change/move? Obviously, I'll still watch, but do you think remote hosting will affect viewership? So in case anybody tuned out early to yesterday's episode, you might not have heard my announcement that I am moving, and for the past few weeks we have been working on perfecting remote streaming capabilities, which not only means I will be remote, and yes, that is a permanent decision, with the exception of me visiting this location again in the future. Also, we will be inviting guests, friends of the show, on remotely for our usual episodes as well. Not every episode, but that's another thing that I'm excited about because we've been wanting to have guests on again for a long time, but beforehand we were only flying them in, which was a huge cost. So
the distance capabilities are still a work in progress. I've worked out quite a few of the kinks, but it's actually one of those things that when you're live, sometimes there are just tech concerns that happen that will be unavoidable, and we'll roll with the punches when that happens. I'll have to get used to dead air if something goes wrong. But you know what? They do it on the morning show for Tim and stuff like that. It's not always the easiest thing to figure out. But as an aside, one thing that we do have coming up, and it's related to that, is yesterday after PCC, I recorded an interview with Dallas from Daily Wire. He is the producer for the upcoming
Sonye, is that the right way to say his word? Sonye?
Yeah, Sonye. So he's Bonfire legend. He's done a bunch of movies you've probably heard of, like Bone Tomahawk, Dragged Across Concrete, a bunch of other stuff. He's very, very well versed in Hollywood. He's produced for the Daily Wire now for quite some time. He's got another project coming out called Frontier Crucible. We talked about their upcoming project, Pendragon Cycle. I asked him questions about that. We talked about Hollywood in general, what it means to be a producer in Hollywood. That interview will be coming out at 8 a.m. on Saturday on YouTube and Rumble. And then if you are an audio listener to this podcast, if you don't watch the segments or anything like that, I am going to be releasing that as well for you guys on Thanksgiving Day, so that we have something coming out on that day. So stay tuned for that. That'll be great.
I do want to just address the full message, though, in case you didn't feel like we answered it fully. Do you think remote hosting will affect viewership? We're not going to sit here and pretend that us being together in person is the same thing as us talking to each other remotely. Of course, we all know that that's not the same thing. And we've said before that we do prefer to have guests even in the studio with us in person rather than remote. But sometimes life gets in the way of the show being as perfected as we want it to be. And, I did expect that some people would be unhappy about the decision, but I think once you get used to it, hopefully we'll show you that we can keep the same vibe of the show after I go remote, and you're also going to enjoy more input from people outside of the show that you usually don't see. And I feel optimistic about it myself. But of course, if there's anybody that's gonna leave our audience, because of the change, I'm not saying I don't understand, although for myself, most of the podcasts I listen to are people talking to each other remotely. Personally, if there are those people who will leave because of that change, that's just something that we can't really help at this point. I do hope that they stay and give us a chance to prove that the concept will work, but if they're intent on leaving, that it's just gonna have to be how it is.
I will say I've done a couple of remote interviews now, despite tech issues with the first one, which I've since worked out. The vibe and the flow of the conversation was no different than any other conversation that I've had on these platforms outside of maybe, like, me and you already talk over each other. So it doesn't even matter. Like that's the number one thing that people tend to be concerned about in those situations, is that there is a slight delay that can be there, that can cause for issues. But me and you have always been very gracious about, like, if somebody wants to speak over and they want to make a point, that's kind of the way it is. Like, in this space, talking for a podcast is not the same thing as just having a regular conversation. What is disrespectful in a podcast is not the same thing as what is disrespectful, depending on if it's an interview or not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There you go. It wasn't disrespectful at all.
We're doing this because I'm like 100 times more annoying to Mary when we're remote, and I just want to piss her off. No, guys, if you have any other comments, questions, concerns.
And as for the why the change/move part, I don't intend on explaining the fullness of my reasons for moving. Obviously, I don't sit here and share much about my life in general with you guys, and I think that's an important boundary to maintain regardless of where I am in the universe. And also, for now, I'm not going to be telling you guys where I'm going, just, so I can make sure that I feel comfortable with my safety, my security.
Tim keeps talking about celebrities moving into bunkers, so maybe you're moving into a bunker.
I'm moving underground, guys. I'm going to the underworld. I'm not coming back.
If you have any other questions, comments, concerns, you can leave them in the suggestion box, also known as Superchats. We appreciate it, guys. Hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember to share the episodes out with your friends, your family, loved ones, everybody in your life that you both love and hate in equal measure. I want to draw your attention. Interview with Dallas coming on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. It was a lot of fun to talk to him. I've got another segment on the upcoming removal of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin from the Paramount film slate. That will be coming out on Monday, as well as the PCC Weekend Update coming out on Saturday at 5 p.m. So we got a lot of extra content coming out for you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in wherever it is that you watch this podcast. So what are we getting into today? Well, some days you're like, there's no lead stories, there's no good news, then bam! Like from the heavens, a story about the Acolyte still makes its way down to the public. And Leslie Headland has given an interview. She's now a year post the Acolyte release, and she's got thoughts on you, the fans, and the reviewers. I don't think we count as Star Wars reviewers, even though we did review the series. I don't think those are the same thing, but she thinks you're Nazis and fascists and racists and all that great stuff. So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about Meghan Markle. She's somehow more insufferable than she's ever been in this new interview with Harper's Bazaar. So we're going to talk about that. Also, there is a growing movement within Gen Z to adopt a Luddite lifestyle, and Phil Labonte is horrified.
You know what? I think they're free thinkers. They might stink a little bit. They might not bathe much, but at least they're not doom scrolling their lives away, right?
I agree.
There are pros and cons.
I was reading this article. I was reading this article today about, like, they now have, like, scientific proof about how short form content rots your brain, and I'm like, I don't need.
It literally does.
I was like, I don't need you. I don't need a scientist to tell me that. Like,
thank you for reminding me of that, because I actually wanted to make sure I mention that when we get to that in the show.
I'm hoping to cover that next week. I'm going to be doing like a one-on-one episode with Verbal Riot. We're going to be filming that on Monday. I don't know when that one's going to come out, but I have that on my list of things I want to ask him about. We're going to have a conversation about all that. So we got that. We got a whole bunch of other stuff to get into. If you're ready, Mary, we can go. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Disney just backed up the money truck on the stars of Frozen 3 and 4. This is the return of the franchise at long last. It's already made them so many millions of dollars just off of merch. Do you think billions off of merch?
I mean, they made billions at the box office, yeah.
Now that you mention it. Kristen Bell, Idina Menzel, and Josh Gad have all signed deals to earn over $60 million each, which includes upfront fees and back-end bonus payments to return for the third and fourth movies of the franchise.
So it's like $30 million a movie. Assuming to believe that, right? So it's about double.
They'll keep this going as long as they possibly can. It's Kristen Bell, by the way, I didn't know this, who plays Anna, the sister Anna in the movie, and Idina Menzel, who plays Elsa.
Is that who plays Elsa? I don't know.
Yes. Okay. I actually remember that because of that Cringe video that we reacted to recently where the announcer said, he was supposed to say Idina Menzel, and he said, Adele Dazeem. So it was definitely her. And the Wrap summed this up and said this is one of the biggest deals in animation history. They're also still developing, to my knowledge, the live action adaptation of Frozen, aren't they? They're just going to do this to literally all of their properties.
I mean, they have no proof otherwise that something other than franchise is going to work. It's whether it's How to Train Your Dragon,
literal shit in a meat grinder.
It's Moana. It's Lilo and Stitch. It's How to Train Your Dragon over at whatever studio made that movie. It's what works right now. It's so funny too because I've been on this binge series. I've been watching all these videos from these creators, like the downfall of Touchstone Pictures, the downfall of Hollywood Pictures, all of these kind of niche Hollywood studios that were owned by Disney or other companies. Like they're like an imprint for a book. Mm-hmm. And basically one of the things that Disney warned about, or like people at Disney warned about back in the day, I don't remember if it was Michael Eisner, basically said you don't want to fall into the trap of like needing blockbuster movies and IP. Like you don't want to fall into it because eventually you need to pay the actors more and you need to spend more on marketing, even with its, built-in audience. Mm-hmm. So the whole point of those old studios, whether it was Touchstone, or the smaller studios like Miramax, their point was to make mid-budget to low-budget movies, either horror, Oscar bait, or something for the kids, right? And all of those studios have boom periods, and then eventually they were gobbled up by their conglomerates. And Disney's like, we're going to streamline everything. We're going to get rid of all of these studios. Now we've just got 20th Century Fox as like their imprint, and then they've got their brands like Marvel, Pixar, all of it. But what it comes down to now is the actors get paid more and more as this happens, the big name actors.
I think this was another piece of information from Disney's recent earnings call. They talked about, their content plan, and it's a huge amount of it. I think half of their investment going into sports instead of just straight
ESPN.
Entertainment. Yeah. Which is a new thing, it seems. I mean, obviously, ESPN is under the Disney umbrella. That's not new. But they're putting way more investment in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's related to sports betting, but I could be wrong.
It is.
I think it's because of sports betting. So that's kind of bleak. And they're also constantly saying, like, we're going to spend less and make more.
So that's another thing.
And make less and spend more.
So, there's a 20 right there.
We have a 20 from Shane H. Wilder. Thanks, guys. That was a perfect answer. I don't fault you. What you won't answer, as it is understandable. As long as we have both of y'all, PCC is very much the Brett and Mary show. People can fill in, but the show is y'all. I agree. Thank you for that.
But when it comes to these big budget movies like this, more money invested, you need a stronger return on investment. They're not going to go that way. And these types of movies, animated movies, are going to become even more prominent. That's what they're doing over at Paramount. They shelved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, which was supposed to be a live adaptation, a live action R-rated adaptation about the Last Ronin story, which is really, really good. They have shelved it in favor of doing a new live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series brought to you by Neil Moritz, who's the guy who does Sonic. So everything's going to get Sonic-fied over at Paramount, and they're going to be doing the same thing at Disney, where it's just going to be animated movies that the sweet spot is make it for millennial audiences that can bring their kids.
Make like 5 of them.
Yep.
And then make all of them in live action, and then do a limited series on Disney Plus. Yeah. And since Kristen Bell is part of this conversation, I thought it was relevant to bring up a new project of hers that is not actually as new as it seems. Fox News is launching something called Fox Faith, which was just announced this week, a new faith-focused initiative at Fox Nation. It begins with a 52-episode Life of Jesus podcast featuring Kristen Bell, Neil McDonough, Sean Astin, and others, with episodes aligned to the Christian calendar. Executives say the move taps an insatiable appetite for faith-based content and inspiring stories in today's fractured media landscape. I think credit where it's due, this wouldn't be seen as a good money-making strategy had people not bet on themselves and taken risks independently. People like the Chosen team, who, crowdfunded so much of their project. And Kristen Bell is, in fact, one of the actors on the lineup, but here's the wrinkle in their plan. She might not be promoting it because in her episodes, her features, she is the voice actress for Mary Magdalene. The actress, however, recorded the audio for a separate project 15 years ago and did not consent to have it repurposed for a podcast, at least according to her representative.
My guess is she doesn't have Stone. I'm guessing she has no say in that.
They said, heaven forbid. Kristen Bell is the star of a new Fox Jesus podcast. No one told her. They announced the Life of Jesus podcast and failed to mention the audio was recorded for a different project in 2010. Yep. That was news to Bell, who was blindsided by the announcement as she had recorded it for a separate project. They don't say what it is, though. Yeah. I would be interested to find out. I think it was originally called The Truth and Life Dramatized Audio Bible, yes, a New Testament audiobook released in 2010. A producer tied to the audiobook has since partnered with Gulfstream Studios, which is licensing the Life of Jesus podcast to Fox Faith, according to publicly available information.
I love this part here. It says, Rolling Stone also reported that a producer for the podcast sent an email to at least one actor asking that they not mention that this audio New Testament Bible was produced years ago because we'd like it to feel like something that was produced more recently.
Couldn't they just produce it more recently, though?
Cost more money.
Like, I don't think they could get Kristen Bell.
That's what I'm saying. Cost more money to start from scratch, and then you can't. I mean, that's a whole big part of it is licensing.
Yeah, looks like they retooled this 15-year-old podcast series with new additions coming from Earhart, or Earhart. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. So it's Brian Cox, Sean Astin, Neil McDonough, Malcolm McDowell, John how do I say this? Reese Davis, Julia Ormond.
The funny thing is out of all of these names, I'm guessing only Neil McDonough would actually be excited about this.
Oh my gosh. Well, some of the actors have been open about their Christian faith. Brian Cox, who is voicing the role of God, has previously called Fox News the devil.
Yeah.
So I bet he doesn't feel great about this either. Is Brian Cox religious?
I doubt. I don't know.
Why would he do this? I guess it's a job as a job.
Liberal Christians. Well, it's like Mark Hamill doing, what was the one that came out this year? Mark Hamill was in that Angel Studios movie that they licensed.
Oh, right. They animated
I don't even remember which one it
was. Was it about Noah?
Maybe. I don't remember.
I don't recall now.
But he was.
But that was a big project. Had a huge lineup, too.
Yeah.
If I could remember the title, I would bring it up right now. Looks like, Brian Cox is... he identifies as an atheist and has stated that religion holds humanity back because it relies on belief systems external to oneself rather than encouraging self-examination. He described the Bible as one of the worst books ever.
I wonder if he's actually read it.
Criticizing it for promoting patriarchal ideas and propaganda, referencing the creation story of Adam and Eve as a foundational myth that has contributed to gender inequality. He argues that religion creates a false sense of control through the concept of God, which he views as conceit and mythology, and distracts people from addressing societal problems by looking inward. So he's not just your run-of-the-mill liberal agnostic in Hollywood. He is avowed atheist, very strongly an anti-Christian.
That's very interesting. So
did they not think this would be a PR issue?
Do you? I'm guessing that they didn't even think that far ahead for something like this. Plus, it's
a place like Fox.
It's an audio podcast. It's
That's
not
wild.
gonna other than us covering it. This isn't gonna rate a bunch of attention, if you ask me. When he says that, does Christianity not require you to do at least a little bit of self-examination?
Of
I imagine
course,
it does.
Obviously, does that even need to be said? That is literally the entire point of the gospel, is that, you know, the matters of the heart matter in a way more than the outward appearance of your morality. Like, I don't even need to get into like apologetics against Brian Cox, because he's like from, you know, the new atheist generation that's like totally irrelevant now culturally. But I should also mention, I think that Fox is jumping on this opportunity as well because, first of all, because of The Chosen, huge success, and Angel Studios. They're trying to follow in their footsteps, and they're trying to follow in the footsteps of Ascension Press, which is responsible for producing the Bible in a Year podcast with Father Mike Schmitz, which was the #1 podcast, not just in the religious subcategory, but for a while, the #1 podcast, period. So it makes sense that they're going this direction.
The movie was King of Kings. Thank you.
Right. Okay.
Thank you. And
they did have Mark Hamill. They had Oscar Isaac on the lineup as well.
Yep.
And let me see.
I mean, this happened. So what's happening here is no different than what happened when the Letitia Wright movie got picked up by Angel Studios, and she had to like answer for being, or was that Daily Wire? Like where Letitia Wright got.
Yeah.
She's like,
yeah,
I don't know anything about that.
Because the Sound of Hope movie then got licensed by Daily Wire to distribute it.
Wait, was that what it was?
I believe
so. They're like, we need a movie with Sound of in the name, and they just went looking for one.
It's had to have Sound of in the name. Yeah, I remember Pierce Brosnan was also on the King of Kings cast. Like, it was stacked.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it performed. It did go to theaters, but I don't remember how it performed.
But the point being, guys, is that these actors, they don't have a say over where their stuff gets licensed to afterwards. That's what the contracts are for.
Yeah.
They get paid for their work. I imagine that they don't get residuals for audio podcasts, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think it's fair to expect them to answer for who licenses things that they participate in. And Letitia Wright didn't even need to comment on it further, other than I did a job and I have no say over where it goes.
Also, bold is to the publicist who asked Kristen Bell to be on like The Five or whatever they tried to get, or like Fox and Friends. I'm sure she was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
No.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Just nobody was expecting that. You should go watch Veronica Mars, though. Veronica Mars is fantastic.
It has been a brutal year and a brutal season for the box office at large. I recently saw a report earlier this month that the box office in the U.S. had its worst October in 27 years, excluding only the pandemic, of course, when everything shut down. It's bleak out there. And the New York Times recently published this piece titled 25 Movies, Many Stars, Zero Hits. Hollywood Falls to New Lows. It has been a brutal 3 months for dramas and comedies. And it's across the board. They mention specific examples here. Some were heavily marketed. Many were championed by critics. Most had star power, but not one of the 25 dramas and comedies that movie companies released in North American theaters over the past 3 months has become a hit. Not in the way that Hollywood has historically kept score. Some have played to near empty auditoriums, including After the Hunt, that had Julia Roberts and Bradley Cooper. No, not Bradley Cooper, Andrew Garfield. And Io Edebiri, who thinks that she is a star. And then they mention Christie, Sydney Sweeney, of course, starring in that one. That was a flop.
Christie apparently now holds the record as the biggest second weekend drop-off in like cinema history, 92%.
Really bad. And then it was the #9 worst opening weekend of all time.
To the point, guys, when they say many were championed by critics, that doesn't mean anything.
That doesn't,
In the current year, that could not mean less.
Right.
It couldn't.
I just thought it was funny, like back when we talked about One Battle After Another, how this guy was recording himself on TikTok after watching the movie, and he's like, it had a great score on Rotten Tomatoes from critics, so I thought, like, why not go see it? And
that's
we were
like the last guy who actually trusts them.
The last person on earth who pays attention to critic scores.
Yeah.
And then they mentioned Die My Love, featuring Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. And they ask Kevin Getz, an author of How to Score in Hollywood. He says, to succeed in theaters today, dramas and comedies must have event status, something truly elevated and special. It's not a phase, it's an evolution you can't reverse. The dearth has added to what has already been a troubled year for Hollywood. The summer season, filled with fantasy and science fiction sequels, was the least attended since 1981, after adjusting for inflation and excluding, again, the COVID-19 years. And, okay, so there are many reasons why people don't go to the theaters these days. Mm-hmm. But the number one reason that people cite, of course, is that it's just too damn expensive. Mm-hmm. And I remember us covering this earlier in this year. Movie theaters are trying everything to bring audiences back, from pickleball to cocktail bars and more. Yeah. And, you know, it's just not going to change the trend unless theater going becomes more affordable and unless the stories get better. One or the two or both need to happen.
It can't. It can't happen. It can't anymore. Not in the way that they're talking about. At least not in my opinion. When it comes to movie theaters, there's just too much of life now is a world where you're the product, meaning that you can do a lot of things for free as long as you watch the ads and the subscription and get the subscription service now. So you can just scroll Instagram. You can watch people on YouTube like us right now. There's just too many ways in which people kind of divvy their time up, and none of it has anything to do with the theaters. Mm-hmm. People just aren't interested.
I don't know if they mentioned this title in the article, but I also noticed that The Running Man, starring Glenn Powell, flopped in its opening weekend, only grossing $17 million. And it had a reported production budget of $110.
One of the other annoying things in the article is they talk about the money made by one battle after another without citing the fact that it had an enormous budget as well. Which it
did. Yes. I'm looking at the poster for The Running Man, and you know, it's got explosions, it's got Glenn Powell looking super cool, it's got choppers, and I'm just going to say, when I see an explosion on a movie poster, I'm immediately checked out. That's just me.
Yeah, but the rest of us love it.
But you would expect a movie with a poster like this and Glenn Powell starring in it to do better than that.
Or and Josh Brolin.
They ask, what constitutes a hit? While success at the box office is always correlated to how much it costs to make a film, Hollywood has historically used $50 million in ticket sales over an entire run as a benchmark for widely seen drama or comedy. By that measure, After the Hunt, with Julia Roberts playing a college professor combating cancel culture, is a catastrophe. It cost an estimated $70 million to make and collected $3.3 million in the U.S. and Canada. And
I was not here when you guys talked about that.
Yeah, we discussed this when you were out of town. We talked about how it's being interpreted as a movie that is sort of a post-mortem on the Me Too movement. Mm-hmm. So Ayo Edebiri plays the student, and Julia Roberts and Andrew Garfield are colleagues. They are professors, and Julia Roberts is sort of a mentor to Ayo Edebiri's character. Ayo Edebiri's character ends up accusing Andrew Garfield of assault, some sort of Me Too claim. Mm-hmm. But he, on the other hand, is defending himself, saying, no, I was about to hold her accountable for plagiarism, and she's trying to blackmail me into not holding her accountable for what she did. So then Julia Roberts is like, who do I believe? Like, I have so many doubts. Like, what do I do? And there are scenes in the trailer where, like, the older characters are kind of, they're making fun of Ayo Edebiri's generation for being overly sensitive, especially in academic spaces. Whatever. It's the kind of movie that I would find interesting. But most people would not have the slightest interest in seeing a movie like that.
What was the movie Tar with, what's her name?
Oh, yeah, Kate Blanchett was in that one.
Like, people were like, it's an anti-woke movie, and I'm like, please shut up.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
People said similar things about Eddington by Ari Aster.
A lot of people really liked Eddington.
A lot of people on our, like, side, if we want to talk about sides, liked Eddington a lot. I didn't see it just because I'm skeptical of Ari Aster as a person, but, you know, another one that wasn't some kind of commercial, you know, like blockbuster success. They also mentioned Kiss of the Spider-Woman starring J-Lo.
and Diego Luna. Yeah, it made like $0 at the box office.
$30 million and managed only 1.6 million in sales.
I think it was produced by Ben Affleck, so he was just paying her back for the divorce.
And he was giving her glowing reviews when he was at the premiere.
And he just looked drunk.
he looked bloated and red.
I finally got around to watching The Accountant 2 while I was on the plane to when we were going out of town. It was actually really, really fun. I actually really, really enjoyed it. They definitely did stop. Like the first movie treated autism very, very seriously, and the sequel definitely treats autism like a superpower. Like it leans into it in a more comedic sense. But yeah, the box office is kind of in shambles, and it's sad. Like when I was talking to Dallas last night, he was like he loved this year at the movies. He's like, it wasn't the greatest year ever, but there was a lot of movies that he liked this year that came out, and people just aren't going to come out to it. Eventually, it's going to be all horror movies, because horror movies can be made for like no money, and they have strong return on investment, even outside of the Halloween frame. They can make a lot of money that way. You're going to get nothing but that.
What's going on? Is FNAF 2 out?
No, not yet.
Why the hell didn't that come out during Halloween this year?
I have no idea.
That seems like a ridiculous decision.
Yeah.
They ask what movies are succeeding. They say franchise films are chugging along. Predator Badlands, the 9th installment in a 38-year-old series, collected $40 million last weekend, about 30% better than analysts predicted.
Yes, but it had a 68% drop-off in its second weekend, and they've tried to bot their way to making it somehow seem as relevant as the previous Predator movies. It will never be as relevant as the 1987 Predator movie.
And of course, cost $105 million.
And that is with me saying that I understand that once I see that movie, I know for a fact I'm going to like it because it's exactly up my alley. I know for a fact I'm going to enjoy it. But that doesn't mean that it's ever going to be as relevant as the original movie.
And of course, they do mention that horror movies have attracted better audiences and cost less.
It's time to stop pretending like opening weekend is what the benchmark should be, because that is mainly a product of the superhero age, where movies like Marvel films and DC films tend to be unbelievably front-loaded, meaning they make a great amount of their box office in the opening weekend because it's a spectacle and it needs to be seen then. Otherwise, then you feel like you missed out. Top Gun Maverick made it to $1 billion by chugging along and having low drops from week to week. What you need to do is make movies with great word of mouth that inspire people to talk about it with other people and then get people to go to the theaters. That's how you make the money.
We have a 20 from Value in You, Brett, Mary, a bit off topic, but excluding AI, what is the current trend / movement / condition that concerns you most as hurtful to society? I'd love to know what you think about this.
Well, I guess I don't understand the question.
Like, what worries you most about the future, basically?
Social media in general. I think we'd be better off without social media. I know that's a very, bland answer, but most
of course is intertwined with AI.
Most of the issues that I see for myself would be a lot better if I just didn't have social media.
I think pretty much any social ill that you can name here in response to this question is going to become heavily intertwined with AI anyway.
Yeah.
So I guess I would just say loneliness. Like, I think that's like too broad of an answer, but like loneliness across the board, that's something that worries me about people becoming more alienated from family, friendships in decline, just generally like interacting with people face to face in the real world. We'll get to that later in the show, though.
Yes, we will. I've got more to that answer, but I guess I'll save it for another time.
And I do want to mention this next part. They ask, how have movie studios responded to these successive flops? There's a lot of finger pointing. I don't think that you would see this admission in the New York Times just a handful of years ago. But they say it's the audience's fault. Americans love to complain about a deluge of superhero sequels and big budget fantasies. And what do they do when a bunch of dramas arrive? They ignore them. It's the news media's fault for reporting on opening weekend box office grosses. Films are declared dead before they have a chance to find their footing. Theaters are at fault for raising prices and bombarding audiences with ads and trailers before films start. That's like barely even scratching the surface of that question. But I mean, regardless of how they're going to respond or how they have responded to these failures, we can at least recognize it's a sad thing when people stop going to theaters to see movies because that's a communal experience, and that is more a symptom than a cause of kind of the widespread loneliness and alienation in our culture. And I was really curious why Pope Leo had a private audience with a bunch of actors recently.
Before we get to that, I just say, like, it doesn't hit every industry. Now, like one thing that I thought was interesting. So last weekend when we were out of town, we tried to go to a bowling alley, and it was packed. It was a Saturday night. It was full up. Like, there was no slot. In Michigan.
Okay.
There was if you wanted to reserve a lane, it was going to be an hour. We went to another one.
Dang.
It was full. So bowling isn't cheap either. Like
No.
I love bowling, but the thing is like that's a community experience. That's something you get together.
Right.
Like you go there to do it with your friends. It's either a humiliation ritual for because you're bad at it, but it's there to build experience with people. It's one of the holy grail of, wow, I haven't done this in a while, along with pool. Like every time you do it, you say, wow, I haven't done this in forever. But the point is, they're good for the community. They're good for a group of friends. It's like if you don't have anything to do, it's actually probably more beneficial as a friend group to go bowling than go to the movies. And the bowling alley was full. So maybe it is the stories, because maybe they wouldn't have a problem with sitting around not talking to their friends if the movies they were watching were actually good enough to make the discussion that comes after the movie worthwhile.
And think about the amount of money that people spend on streaming services. I mean, it's not just that it's not affordable enough. Yep. You're right. But yeah, Pope Leo recently delivered a speech to a bunch of A-list actors. The crowd included Monica Bellucci, Cate Blanchett. They had directors as well.
Monica Bellucci
Greta Gerwig, Darren
Bellucci was in The Passion of the Christ, so that follows, right?
They had Spike Lee, Judd Apatow, Chris Pine, Dave Franco, Allison Brie, Adam Scott. Like, tons of people attended this audience.
All names I've heard.
And he really emphasized in this speech that the cinema experience is important and he wants to revive it. He said, although cinema is now over a century old, it is still young, dreamlike, and somewhat restless art form. It will soon celebrate its 130th anniversary, counting from the first public screening by the Lumiere brothers in Paris on the 28th of December, 1895. From the outset, cinema was a play of light and shadow designed to amuse and impress. However, these visual effects soon succeeded in conveying much deeper realities, eventually becoming an expression of the desire to contemplate and understand life, to recount its greatness and fragility, and to portray the longing for infinity. And he said, entering a cinema is like crossing a threshold. In the darkness and silence, vision becomes sharper, the heart opens up, and the mind becomes receptive to things not yet imagined. In reality, you know that your art form requires concentration. Through your productions, you connect with people who are looking for entertainment, as well as those who carry within their hearts a sense of restlessness and are looking for meaning, justice, and beauty. We live in an age where digital screens are always on. There is a constant flow of information. However, cinema is more than just a screen. It's an intersection of desires, memories, and questions. It's a sensory journey in which light pierces the darkness and words meet silence. As the plot unfolds, our mind is educated, our imagination broadens, and even pain can find new meaning. And I encourage you guys to go pursue the full speech. They published it, the transcript on Deadline. And, you know, he was basically pointing out that the medium of theater going for entertainment is objectively superior in every way to consuming media alone in your bedroom from your phone screen, which we all know inherently. And I think that the people in that audience needed to hear it. And they also need to hear from maybe people other than Pope Leo that their primary job is not to educate and condescend, but to entertain, but also culturally enrich our lives.
How do you, in your opinion, how do they do that? Like, me and you always have such different takeaways when we go to see movies. Like, I don't know about cultural enrichment, but just the act of going to the theater most of the time for me is such a pleasant experience.
It is.
Like
I would say
I
it's
guess
edifying.
Very rarely does like the cultural impact of the movie really speak to me just as much as just the ability to go see someone tell a story. Maybe it has some form of cultural message. Maybe
You're
doesn't.
consuming cultural output.
Like I went to see Cocaine Bear and I was edified. There was so much enrichment going on when I went to see Cocaine Bear.
I know you're like joking kind of, but I completely agree.
I'm not
with what you're saying. Like, and his basic point was like, we live in the attention economy and people are split in 1,000 different directions. Your medium of cinema literally forces people to focus on one thing at one time.
I love it.
And we can't let that die. So I hope Hollywood like figures it out eventually.
Work on it, guys. All
right.
right.
Have a lot of work to do.
Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see the cute first. I don't think we've even done that this week.
Okay, we will do it then here. All right, this one's from Bandito. It says, this is our new kitten, Jack. He is cross-eyed, just how he was born. He'll likely grow out of it one day. Well, I didn't. Remember, I'm cross-eyed.
That is so cute. I hope he doesn't grow out of it, because that's like,
oh my gosh.
That's like way cuter than if he were just like looking ahead.
It looks like he's giving you like an evil look in a movie, but he's too cute to be evil.
He's in a giant piece of cheese.
That's amazing.
I love that.
All right, let's do cringe.
Okay, so guys, I need to
It's
provide
been a while
context
since we've
here.
had a Tyra Banks cringe.
I need to provide context. So I don't know what the hell Tyra Banks is doing, but she just opened a business in, I think, Sydney, Australia.
Okay.
And it's selling what she calls this brand new food innovation called hot ice cream. And everyone's like, what do you mean? Is it ice cream or is it hot?
Is it milk?
How the hell do you, like, what do you mean you're selling hot ice cream? And she's tried to explain it thousands of times and it never makes sense. And honestly, I feel like she's in a manic episode and I don't know. I kind of am here for it.
Doesn't she have like some type of publicist who can write something up for this?
She's just winging it. Clearly.
Hot ice cream tastes like? Because, you know, I think you put some ice cream in the microwave, it melts, and you go.
Hell no. The first time we tried this, we took our ice cream base in its liquid form and heated it up. And it was a mess. It was a hot mess. And so then we changed them in a bunch of things. And then
This is cocaine trafficking.
Is this a money laundering business?
This is cocaine trafficking. It's being shipped overseas, then they bring it and they dry it out. This is cocaine trafficking. That's my opinion.
did it again and it was watery. And it was like, hell no. So it took 12 months of testing and trying because we've done this with 15 flavors.
Maybe get it right with one and then move on to the other flavors.
Finally, it is thick, it's rich, it's velvety, it's liquid. So many people think it's fried ice cream and they're rolling their eyes at me and saying, this ain't nothing but fried ice cream. This ain't nothing but...
What the fuck is fried ice cream?
I have seen that.
Okay, first of all, she's missing the boat. Everybody knows that candy has gone the way of freeze-dried. That's what everybody is making now. Freeze-dried versions of their candies. So she's just not in tune with the market.
A hot milkshake. This ain't nothing but creme anglaise. I am an ice cream expert.
Yes,
creme
you are.
anglaise is heavy in eggs, darling. And if it gets too hot, it turns to scrambled eggs. Don't come for me. Now I'm saying that our ice cream, not our hot ice cream, but our cold ice cream is ice cream that you can chew. You chew it because every pint has a hidden smile surprise.
Yes, it does.
Hidden in there where you find it and you chew. So baby, we ain't gonna chew our ice cream and we're gonna sip our hot mama ice cream.
What is hot?
I still don't know what hot ice cream is. After that whole explanation, I still have no idea what hot ice cream is.
Yeah.
I know that each one has a Smize surprise.
I guess that's what you're buying it for. The Smize surprise.
Wait, give me your best Smize, Brett.
I don't even know what that means.
You don't know what that means?
No.
That's Tyra Banks' whole thing that she made up.
I'm a dude. I don't know what that means.
It means that you smile with the top half of your face only.
I'll have to think about that one.
Okay, so you smile with just your eyes. That's why it's called the Smize. You go... I think I'm doing it. This is my Smize. So yeah, every pint of hot ice cream comes with a Smize surprise.
She's like, we made it. And
It sounds like a milkshake, though.
Yeah.
Maybe no, it's not.
She's like, and then
She would
we
be
put it
offended
in the
if I said that.
microwave, and then it melted, and I was like, shocking.
Yeah, I still I'm in the dark about this, guys. If anyone can explain to me what hot ice cream is, I would love to know.
All right, let's move on.
I cannot believe we have another headline about The Acolyte. How are we still dissecting the failure of this show after it's already been canceled? Well, the show creator, Leslie Headland, has just done a recent interview with The Wrap, where they kind of conduct a postmortem on The Acolyte. And she pointed out, I'll mention this first, that the content being made about Star Wars will ultimately be more culturally impactful than the actual Star Wars. Quote, those IPs will continue to make money, but I don't know how much they will affect the next generation as much as the content that is being created around those events, IP films and television shows. Now, is she referring to what they would probably call in the industry hate channels?
I guess, or reaction
people
channel,
like us,
or reaction channels. Or...
Are we more culturally impactful than The Acolyte? I would
No.
love to believe that about our show, but she
maybe
means the
that's what she
commentary
means.
around the shows got more attention overall than the show itself.
I mean, she may actually... She will never be right about the original trilogy, but will commentary be more relevant than The Acolyte or even Andor or any of these others? Yeah, it will carry a longer lasting impact because of the medium.
Definitely.
But that's just a product of time changing and the medium changing. I guess the bigger question would be, how does, like, do you guys do, like, your own version of, like... And I know they did. I think they did their own, like, podcast roundups about their episodes and stuff like that, kind of like Talking Dead. Talking Dead will never be as relevant as Walking Dead, but would some type of Star Wars podcast be as relevant? Because they all do that now. They all do companion podcasts with their shows. Those won't be relevant either because it's not about the medium. It's about the corporate structure. Commentary channels are popular because they're not owned by corporations or they're not owned by the people making the art.
I'm going to make a comment that sounds like I'm insulting Leslie Headland's appearance, but she doesn't, need that. I mean to say Leslie Headland is like sort of a primate version of our species. Like she sort of was a holdout from our evolutionary process, meaning that she is the type of showrunner that no longer has a place in her industry. And they're asking Leslie what she plans to do with her career now that people are sick of her shit. And it's titled for that reason, How Leslie Headland is Forging Ahead with Diverse Stories Amid Industry Rollback, and what really happened with The Acolyte. So they mean, okay, everyone's done with DEI now. Nobody's interested in your game. What are you going to do with your career, Leslie, since it's all based on this? They say Leslie Headland knows firsthand just how significantly Hollywood has changed over the last 2 decades. I would say it's changed more significantly in the last 2 years than the last 2 decades. She first broke out as an indie filmmaker with a distinct voice, writing and directing an adaptation of her play Bachelorette in 2012, and following that up with the R-rated Alison Brie, Jason Sudeikis rom-com Sleeping with Other People in 2015, both indies that found audiences at Sundance. Then in 2019, at the height of studios' spending bonanza on streaming, she co-created the dark comedy Netflix series Russian Doll, directing half the season and picking up Emmy nominations. Then she made a Star Wars show. She said, I think we're in a really interesting in-between place right now. That's about the current marketplace as she continues to develop and produce projects through her Shoot to Midnight banner. The company's ethos was initially built on elevating unacknowledged or underrepresented voices in dark comedy, but as the market got more challenging after COVID, it became about crafting relationships and seeking out female writers, specifically TV writers who wanted to get in and sort of break into the industry. That's been a challenge recently, she said, acknowledging the rollback in DEI and female-led projects at major studios. Because, if all of these projects had been a raucous success, they wouldn't have rolled back these programs.
Correct.
If we found out that these underrepresented female directors and showrunners and writers were really being passed off for their talent because people are, privileged if they have penises, then we would find out, after giving them the chance they deserved, that they can make really successful projects. But the problem is, like, The Acolyte wasn't one of them. So in her series, The Acolyte, it was caught in the crosshairs when it debuted, becoming the target of racist online attacks over the decision to center a black female lead. They, of course, capitalized black here, played by Amanda Stenberg. No mention of the fact that Amanda Stenberg twerked the haters away on Instagram. No mention of the bad PR, of course. The show was canceled after one season, a decision that didn't catch Headland completely off guard, but still stung. I was not surprised by the cancellation. I think I was surprised at the swiftness of it and the publicness of it. I was surprised by how it was handled. But once I was getting particular phone calls about the reaction and the criticism and the viewership, I felt, okay, the writing's on the wall for sure. She had learned something vital through the Acolyte kerfuffle, as she saw online creators, many of whom she had followed for years before she made a Star Wars show of her own, rack up views and ad revenue for their lengthy reviews and recaps about the show. As she looks ahead, she thinks Hollywood is misunderstanding how those models work. The content that is being put out by the streamers or the studios is being snatched up by these other creators, and commentaries, synopses, live videos, all of the ways that these creators make money through viewer-based ad revenue and Patreon. There's a lot of money to be made, and by the way, have at it, get your coin. But it revealed to me that there is a misunderstanding between studios and engagement, but they think of it as fandom, and in ways it is. Studios use it almost like a focus group.
There's a $100 super chat there.
Oh,
from
shit, missed that one.
Steve Bottoms. Happy Thanksgiving, PCC crew.
Thank you.
A little early, but
happy
yeah.
early Thanksgiving
Thank
to you
you
as well. We'll buy a turkey with that. How about that? So I guess she's saying, if the critical drinker like shits on the Acolyte, then the studios get all frantic and they're like, I don't know what to do. They start making a bunch of calls to Leslie Headland like, looks like we're not going to renew your show now. And she's saying, well, you wouldn't understand this. He's getting a lot of attention for shitting on my show, but that doesn't translate to how viewers are actually feeling about my show.
Yeah, but she said we hit the Nielsen charts sometimes, we didn't sometimes. You have to hit them all the time. For instance, I keep lauding the show High Potential, which of course nobody in this audience probably watches because nobody my age or younger likes these types of crime shows. But its season 2 premiere saw a 300% increase over the season 1 premiere and grew in audience every episode, meaning that it's the opposite of a snowball rolling downhill. It's actually trudging uphill and building strength as it goes. So that's what you should be shooting for. You should be looking for the same thing happened with Daredevil Born Again. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. Thank you. Still loud.
We'll get 2 in a second here.
Yes, close.
So she goes into depth about the show later in the interview. She said she completely agrees with the idea that studios are pulling back on female-led and diverse projects. She said, I did start to feel that when my Star Wars show came out. In 2024, I remember thinking, oh gosh, I wish it wasn't coming out in an election year. I think that's contributed to the move away from DEI hires, and I would say we are not a company that is she's talking about her company, that is interested in myopically in that. As a queer woman, and my other hires are women, it just means that's my community. I'm queer, so I just see the world through my specific lens, and that means just doing different things.
Yeah, but the thing is, those different things don't make money right now, so you're going to have to go find your own. Maybe you could head to Patreon, where all these other creators are on that you're talking about.
They say there was a lot of unfair vitriol about The Acolyte online, and for it to be the first Star Wars show to be publicly canceled, Lucasfilm had never done that. She said, really, the whole thing with The Acolyte was always a major risk. It was a new part of the timeline, all new characters, part of the lore where you couldn't use a stormtrooper. You didn't have the reference of the politics and war that Tony Gilroy has brilliantly exploited in a genius way in Andor. But all that iconography and all those visual references are original trilogy references, and ours were the High Republic novels and the publishing initiative and then the prequels, specifically with lightsabers. I also think that any gripes creatively with the show are completely valid. That's people's reaction. It's usually their reaction to their own reaction. But like I said, the show is always a risk. It's the old adage of the first one through the wall is the bloodiest, and this is very similar to coming back to your question about the company. It was very much, let's shoot for the sky. Let's just go for it. So I have no regrets, and I'm absolutely obsessed with Star Wars, still am, and I love my show, and I know that it's wonderful.
Here's the problem. You weren't the first one through the door. You're piggybacking off of a much more famous brand for your type of storytelling. So no, you're actually on the shoulders of giants and making content for very, very, very small people.
Well, I guess she's trying to say, like,
I know.
in the sense that we were drawing upon a piece of this franchise that was yet to be explored on screen, which is a clever little way to weasel out of its objective failure. You know, it's just so funny that they're questioning Leslie Headland about, you know, the interests of women in her industry when she literally worked for Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. Like, I just will never move past that. Like, is she ever going to answer for that? Has anyone ever asked her about it?
I don't think it comes up in interviews.
How do you avoid talking about that for this long?
Did you mention the part about fascists yet?
No, we're getting there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Okay.
They ask her, what was the experience for you to see the show not only get attacked, but weaponized by certain parts of the media? Nowadays, when I'm reading these interviews, I just picture Catherine Stoffel from the GQ interview and all of them asking the question. So what was the experience for you to see the show not only getting attacked, but weaponized by certain parts of the media?
So you're saying that Amanda Stenberg should twerk to own the haters?
So here's what Leslie said. I have thoughts about this, and I don't want to go on a tangent, so I'll stick to personal rather than the professional. I was not online. However, I am a Star Wars fan, which means I've always been, since the launch of YouTube, part of the Star Wars fandom community. These guys I've known for years and years, so when I got the information from others about what the weather report was, there was a real concern from friends of mine or coworkers that saddened me. I also was like, I know who these guys are. You don't have to tell me who's talking about it or how bad it is online. I know exactly who they are. I supported them on Patreon. There are some of them that I respect, and there are some of them that I think are absolutely snake oil salesmen, just opportunists. Then, of course, there are the fascists and racists. So it runs a gamut. It isn't just one thing or the other. I think if you're in part of the fandom, you understand the genre and the tone of particular channels and creators. So in some ways, I wasn't surprised, and then in other ways, I was disappointed. I think you always do that when you create something. It's just that Star Wars is on a massive level of visibility.
Yeah, you will get a corresponding amount of backlash and pushback when you get the opportunity to work for something like that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
For the second crisis party. Here we are, just a couple of fascists, racists, making money, shitting on the Acolyte.
That's the question, right?
We're the people.
Like, where does she draw the line? Which ones are the snake oil salesmen?
Yeah.
Which ones are the ones that are valid and are just critiquing them fairly? You never can differentiate between the two.
And what gives you, Leslie Headland, the authority to decide which YouTubers are allowed to constructively criticize your show and which ones are just plain racist?
Yep,
what gives you the authority to say that? Now, she's not imagining this rollback of DEI. I just wanted to mention, it was recently reported that Disney has axed all language of diversity and references to DEI from their most recent financial report for the first time in years. So Leslie Headland and people like her are on their way out.
Have no fear, though, guys. It's still there.
Of course, they just have a reworked approach to DEI, a new name for it.
Whether it is bridge or whatever they want to call it, it's not going anywhere. This type of corporatocracy, like the corporatocracy that runs these things, doesn't change whether it's watch the old Signal Productions video on woke capitalism. I think that was my first introduction to Vivek Ramaswamy, like before he was ever in politics. He was part of this video talking about how the fall about how Occupy Wall Street basically led to the business model we have now. As it was just clean rebranding to be like, you know what, we're the good guys. Like, sure, we like emptied your portfolios and you're broke and the government gave us the bailout. But you know what? Black people. You know what? Women. You know what? And they don't care about those groups. They've never cared about those groups. They care about the bottom, the bottom dollar.
Well, this is another reason why I say, woke isn't gone. It just rebranded. It just took on a more covert appearance because last month, it was leaked from within Disney that they have merely renamed DEI. They kicked off their inaugural Global Belonging Week back in October. The event itinerary references belonging and inclusion without referencing diversity, equity, or the phrase DEI, fitting with the broader trend of companies scaling back their DEI language. So it's literally the same thing with a new name, with a new brand.
When she said that the content being created around Star Wars will be more culturally impactful, was she talking about the spin-off series or was she talking about like the podcast?
She means the podcasters, the YouTubers.
I've seen different interpretations that some people think that she meant the spin-off shows.
I was confident that she meant the independent content creators like on YouTube, because she's talking about how she was subscribed to a lot of these people.
Those IPs will continue to make money, but I don't know how much they will affect the next generation as much as the content that is being created around those events, IP films and television shows. So I don't know what her interpretation is. I just know that she shouldn't be making a Star Wars show because she didn't make enough money the first time around for them to justify giving her another chance at it. It is kind of funny that they like slapped her with like the public cancellation, whereas the rest of them, it's just like every 6 months they ask Ewan McGregor if they're going to make another Obi-Wan show, and he's like, yeah, I really want to. And they're like, yeah, maybe. Who knows? They don't ever like. Doesn't seem like they ever give the cancellations for the other ones. There's that one. They're like, we need to cut bait and cut bait now.
The Obi-Wan PR was also a disaster. Now that you mention it, like him like making that crying video in his car about how people are being mean to Moses Ingram and stop being racist, guys.
Wait, what was in the song from the Acolyte lady from Amanda Stenberg? What was she saying in the song? I already forgot the words.
Like, don't care about your discourse or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't fuck with your discourse, as she's twerking in our faces. No mention of that, of course. No mention of any of that from the rap.
All right, let's go to some super chats there.
We so bored, don't fuck with you.
There, that's what it was.
That was the hook. Credit to her if I still have it stuck in my head all these months later. Anyway, Robert Delara said, Mary, are you moving to Hawaii? If so, you will have to start saying aloha, crisis actors. Just joking. Congratulations on the move. Thank you.
When we go remote, you should start doing different language hellos for every episode.
No, I'm not going to Hawaii, guys. I clarified this yesterday. I'm going to the Gongo.
Would you ever live in Hawaii? Does that ever
Hell
interest
no. If we're being real, no. I wouldn't even vacation there. And people hear that and they're like, what? Why? It's like paradise on earth. Phil especially, he's like super into Hawaii for some reason. He thinks it's great. He's been there before, but I have not. The insects there are like not quite Australia levels, but for that reason alone, I'm never going. And I've also heard that it's just like kind of gross there. It's kind of grimy. There's like trash everywhere. The locals are rude, and yeah, I'm not really a beach person. I don't know. Like, there's nothing for me there.
We've got some Rumble rants here. They're crashing out over you going remote.
Okay.
Yep,
Let's hear it.
Only been here about 3 months, but I'm really going to miss this show. It's in its current form. Furthermore to this, I would add, I think there might be a simping problem in the Rumble chat. You are correct, sir.
Well, that's been an ongoing issue since before 3 months ago. But
the local Wendigo says, yes, we are simps. Fight us.
As for the, missing the show in its current form, I thought you were going to end the sentence there. Like, we're going to continue the show with me remotely, and we're going to try our best to, make it as good as possible for you guys. You deserve the nourishing content.
Do one more.
Corey Anderson said, if Mary is leaving for the Daily Wire, so help me. Well, what I can confirm is that we are planning to do some interviews with the cast from Pendragon Cycle. We just talked to them recently about that, and we're gonna have some exclusive footage to share with you guys. We're probably gonna be reviewing it for each of the 7 episodes, so that's forget when that mid-January.
I think so. End of December, early January, something like that.
Yeah.
He mentioned you'll have to check out my interview with Dallas tomorrow at 8 a.m. if you want that confirmation.
Seems like, I mean, we don't know right now, but it seems like they're not going to do an in-person premiere for Pendragon, just because
I think he said that there's going to be a cast premiere, like a cast party, but that's not here. I think that's in Europe.
But not the type of thing that they did
because
for
so many of the cast,
or
because
Lady
so many of the
Ballers.
cast aren't from America.
Right.
So yeah.
So press is definitely part of our future plans. Cold Leftovers said, where are you moving? What's your new address? My address is 555 Gongo Lane.
In Gongolia.
Yeah.
All right.
Come fight me.
All right, let's hold off on the rest. Okay. We will come back. Let's move on.
Meghan Markle's PR just keeps going further and further down into the abyss. And I just don't understand the thought process behind this. She was recently featured on the cover of Harper's Bazaar, which I thought was undergoing some kind of, at least perceptibly anti-woke shift because they went under new leadership. But no, this is her cover. You should see this because, I was profoundly disturbed. She's staring into my soul. I said, I'm not going to take this back. I had a Roseanne Barr moment. I said, she looks like a beady-eyed primate, staring into your soul on this cover. And it's might as well be grayscale. There's nothing interesting to look at.
I don't
it's exhausting.
All I see is just her forehead looks bigger than normal. Otherwise, she looks normal to me.
She just, to me, looks more soulless than usual. And Peachy Keenan said, if you have ever wondered what super high-priced Hollywood PR firms can do for you, the answer is get unflattering photos on the covers of unread magazines. And it's true that Harper's Bazaar is struggling. We talked about that relatively recently when there was a rumor about them putting Melania Trump on the cover. That didn't end up happening. But part of this interview revealed that Meghan Markle has underlings, staff members, who follow her around and announce her royal title as she enters any room, even if there are only 2 guests. They announce her as the Duchess of Sussex.
I thought she lost the title.
I thought so too.
When you look, when you Google her, it lists her as Duchess of Sussex.
Well, she's been very adamant about people referring to her not as Meghan Markle anymore, but Meghan Sussex, which is weird because
it's not your name.
You left the royal family, therefore you're not considered a royal anymore. And she still expects princess treatment, not only from Harry, but the rest of the world as well. So yeah, Meghan's staff announces her royal title before she enters a room. This was mentioned in the articles from the journalist. When I enter, the house manager announces, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, even though we appear to be the only other 2 people in the house. This is so insane.
How did she
no
allow
wonder
this?
she's just descending into megalomania.
How would you not understand that even if you're that insane to do this, you should make them sign the strictest NDA ever to make sure this information never makes it to the public?
This was a piece written by journalist Caitlin Greenidge, and she also mentioned at the beginning, a golf cart pulls up, the gravel crunching beneath its tires. The Duchess of Sussex, someone in the scrum announces. I'm not saying it's a Meghan Markle problem. Anybody would become an egotistical maniac under such circumstances. So this whole thing is about how Meghan Markle is stepping into her confidence and she's breaking through
Glass ceilings.
The glass ceilings.
Barriers.
And barriers that have been set before
Paving
her.
new roads.
Yes. And here's what it's called. Meghan's moment. After years of being subsumed by other people's narratives, the Duchess of Sussex is ready to author her own next chapter.
She's always been ready to do something new whenever she has to rebrand.
And it was unclear, but at the beginning of this article, they recount her appearance at some event for like 11 and 12-year-olds where they're learning at a local STEM academy field trip. She shows up in her golf cart. She gets announced with her royal title and descends dressed in wide-leg trousers, a silk blouse, and a pair of pave diamond studs by Ukrainian brand Guzima, which were a gift from her husband, Prince Harry, picked up on a recent trip to Kiev with his Invictive Games Foundation. She lived just a few blocks from here as a child and mentions this is where she rode on the back of her mother's bike before she was allowed to ride on her own. Everyone is ushered into the tent where a table is set up with boxes full of dirt and bone specimens. A museum educator begins to explain what they're looking at. Meghan is attuned to the girls. So Meghan is surrounded by a bunch of 12-year-old girls who don't know who the fuck she is and don't give a fuck who she is. Yeah. But she thinks that they do, of course. She asks one about her nails, asks another what she's studying. When a girl mentions her love of languages, Meghan lights up. "I'm learning French on Duolingo," she says proudly, adding that she just hit a 90-day streak. And then Meghan and these little girls assemble for a group photo. Again, imagine being a 12-year-old girl in 2025. You have never heard of Meghan Markle and you don't give a shit who she is.
See, the thing is, there's at least one kid there, because if this was a Hollywood movie, there would be at least one who was like the odd cinephile for their age and is like, I love suits.
Yeah, I'm sure. I bet at least one of those 12-year-old girls' moms maybe knows who Meghan Markle is.
No, a lot of them. The moms all know who she is.
Some girls look straight at the camera while a few squint or stare off to the side. An attempt, maybe, to stave off self-consciousness. Can you stop armchairing these little girls? This is a time for many girls when they become aware of being seen, sometimes benevolently, but more often not. Meghan, 44, stands in the middle of the group. She lives a life accompanied by the level of scrutiny every tween girl imagines is always present, except for Meghan, it's very real.
So is this just the dividing line between men and women now? Men deal with a world where they feel like nobody knows or cares about them, and women live in a world where they feel like everybody is scrutinizing them, and then they wonder why nobody can get along?
That's an interesting observation about these like lopsided perspectives for men and women.
Like, are there any teenage boys who are like, I feel heavily scrutinized? Like, I imagine that does exist.
Well, okay, maybe in the sense that the media rails against masculinity as often as it does, perhaps in that way, but not on an individual basis.
Yeah, but even then, you're thinking about it in the context where to even have that thought in your head, you have to already be down like the culture war rabbit hole. Like,
maybe they don't even know that that's what they're feeling.
Yeah,
because it's just kind of the water.
And that depends how they were raised. If their dad raised them with a sense of masculinity that seems to go be at odds with the rest of the culture. But if they're just raised by regular city liberals, then none of that is even tracking with them.
I think this is a Meghan Markle problem, particularly. Like, she's a 44-year-old woman who still thinks like a 14-year-old girl. Mm-hmm. So, of course, she feels this way. She says in her interview, "I don't know how any woman could see a young girl and not see herself in her, especially at that age. That just means that you're a narcissist and you're not actually seeing them as a full human being. Yeah. You're seeing yourself in everyone because you're obsessed with yourself." And again, there's a photo featured in this piece of Meghan Markle barefoot sitting crisscross applesauce, looking at the camera coyly. And I just think you can't sit crisscross applesauce without your shoes on and expect everyone to call you the Duchess of Sussex.
Yes, you can.
Have some class.
We're in a new era now. It's aesthetic.
Then they say her sob story, of course, like just run it through ChatGPT, rearrange the words. This is the sob story. When Meghan became engaged to Prince Harry in 2017, it triggered a tectonic shift in the culture. Already an actress on popular cable drama Suits and the purveyor of an aspirational lifestyle brand, The Tig.
And awesome holder of briefcases. Don't forget that.
No, yeah, we cannot forget that. Meghan shot to global superstardom. That's a bit of an overstatement.
Not
and
really.
became the subject of an intense public fascination made up of equal parts adoration and vitriol. Contrast in Meghan and Harry's backgrounds. She was American, he was British. She was a working actress from a modest family, and he was a royal. She was biracial, and he was a symbol of an imaginary monoracial Britain. Scrambled multiple narratives.
What is what is her popularity? I don't mean popularity in like people like her, but like what is her visibility factor all over the world? Because one of my favorite things is I watch this one podcast, and one of the hosts is American and one of the hosts is British. And whenever the British podcaster like mentions people in culture that are supposed to be relevant, I have no idea what he's talking about.
No,
so
that's true.
she is famous in that respect, meaning that she already had a certain amount of recognition here, and being tied to a royal in Britain obviously makes you much, much more visible.
Yeah.
And the royal family, I see people in the chat kind of dunking on covering the royals, but that's like there's an entire attention economy just based on the royals.
For sure.
Like there are channels whose whole thing is just talking about the royals. It'll never make sense to me, but
yeah,
like,
and
people
Andy
love to
Signor
he
also
likes
like
to talk
covers
about
that
it.
stuff a lot.
But there's a lot of channels that just love to gossip about the royals.
True. I'm not trying to dispute the idea that she's famous.
Yeah.
I'm more so disputing the idea that she's famous for anything that she really earned on her own. And I'm disputing the idea that she's nearly as relevant in 2025 as she was in 2017.
I mean, you could make the argument that she did make it there on her own, because one of the points of discussion for her was they were talking about her getting married to a royal was a celebrity, like an American celebrity getting married to a royal, as opposed to just somebody from generic wealth who's not necessarily front facing.
Yeah, I mean, she's not on the level of celebrity that she would be had she not married him, for sure.
Correct.
And they say, depending on your perspective, their union symbolized the triumph of liberal post-racial meritocracy or the downfall of traditional conservative values. In 2020, when they announced...
What does meritocracy got to do with shit in this context?
Beats me. Beats me. I guess just the fact that she social climbed her way up to being in the same room as Prince Harry, which requires some skill. In 2020, when they announced their intention to step back from royal duties and move to California, dubbed the Megxit, it was a cultural inflection point. Was this a refutation of generational trauma, or millennials being afraid of hard work? In all those stories, though, Meghan lost her agency and her humanity.
Okay.
Well, definitely wasn't whatever the... Was this a refutation of generational trauma? No, it was not. And millennials being afraid of hard work, I don't think it speaks to anything about millennials in general. It's talking about maybe something we're all familiar with. We've all probably been friends with somebody who ended up in a relationship where they completely subsumed their personality into the relationship and stopped calling. So Prince Harry is that guy.
Yeah.
We all have known like a guy who's on a tight leash.
Yeah.
And that's what people found interesting about it more so than anything.
Yeah, any other further commentary that's supposed to somehow extrapolate to the rest of the population never makes any sense. And the same thing is true when they talk about like how actors can help the little guy by making a movie with representation. It has literally nothing to do with the rest of the world. It's not accurate.
Meghan has acquired a level of fame that is irrevocable. The question becomes, what does one woman do with that amount of power and tricky sort of influence? In the 5 years since leaving the firm, what some members of the royal family call the institution that dictates their lives, Meghan has remained focused on the projects she's built for herself and that fit her lifestyle as a mother of young children. Together with Harry, she launched the nonprofit Archwell Foundation and the mission to show up and do good. She has signed development deals with Spotify and Netflix, which have either
expired
or been downgraded.
That's called the beauty of framing, which is that
Yeah.
that doesn't mean she did anything successful with those signings.
Right, exactly. Like, what do you have to show for it? Her lifestyle series with Love Meghan, in which she invites friends to a Nancy Myers-esque California home to cook, craft, and garden with her, coincided with the launch of her brand As Ever, which sells candles, preserves, flour sprinkles, and wine. After years of others attempting to fit her into their narratives, she is now pursuing a life and a career that feel authentic to her and her alone, and allowing herself to enjoy it too. So, yeah, you're correct. It feels authentic to exactly one person on the planet, and it's Meghan Markle.
I'm going to write something like this for myself.
You should.
I'm writing my own narrative.
Send this transcript into Grok and tell it, reword this about Brett Dasovic. Make the whole thing about Brett Dasovic.
Can't wait.
We have a 20 here from Not That Jon Stewart. Quick wiki search, massive grain of salt. They can still use Duke and Duchess of Sussex, but no longer the honorific His/Her Royal Highness. Anything they do or say is no longer represents the royal family. Okay, so they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, which is another point of why people find them so obnoxious.
She's like, okay, I can use the Duchess part, but I really wish I still could make you refer to me as Your Highness.
Yeah, and then that was the detail about, millennials who are afraid to work hard. They wanted the title. Mm-hmm. Meghan specifically wanted the title with none of the responsibilities that come with it and the control over your personal life that naturally comes with it. And I think really the main reason why this couple has become such a tabloid obsession is because we've all known couples like this, regardless of, what socioeconomic status we come from. We know couples that operate just like this. It has nothing to do with their level of visibility in the public eye or their wealth, or the fact that they have a Netflix show. We know pussy-whipped guys who do everything that their wives/girlfriends tell them.
He kind of had, it's almost like his fall was worse than hers.
Yeah.
Because hers made her out to be the bad guy. She just refuses to lean into being the bad guy, which could theoretically save her. Mm-hmm. You don't really get to come back from what happened to him. Like, hey, sell your gun collection because I don't want them in the house.
Yeah, we've all known at least one guy with unresolved mommy issues who looks for a mommy in his female romantic partners, and that's what Prince Harry is.
All right.
Let's read some super chats. Exploding Prinny said, Ghosterick Mary is returning to her haunted mirror. What does that mean?
Is that what you're doing?
Okay. I don't know what that means. Greg Duvier said, moving to the Congo to make it the Catholic utopia. Exactly. It's what they deserve.
It's a mission trip.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, King of Kings was good. I saw it in theaters. Not only was Bible in a Year #1, but so was Catechism in a year and Rosary in a year. Yeah, they, followed it up with other successful podcasts. Of course, in a year has to be the title. Duh.
Let's do one more.
Chance Walls 2.0 said, how Brian Cox can look at the past 5 years in America and not call them the perfect example of some of the most godless years in history is wild. I guess for someone with his super anti-religion worldview, he's just going to say, well, of course things still aren't perfect because some people are still religious.
Yeah.
He's just going to blame it on that regardless.
Plus, he's divorced from the general population. He lives a life of privilege that most won't ever experience.
I bet that, he became such a hardline atheist back when atheism was having its moment in the limelight in, the late 2000s.
The 2010s, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
One more is fine.
Kay sent us $1.99 without a message.
We'll take it. All right.
Thank you so much.
Let's move on.
So it was just confirmed what we already knew. A new study reveals that TikTok and Instagram content actually rots your brain. Excessive short-form video use is linked to reduced cognitive function and lower life satisfaction. We didn't need a study to tell us that. We've all experienced it. And it seems that a vocal portion of Gen Z is protesting this new way of life that, if you don't actively become anti-phone, then you're going to be completely sucked into the doom scroll. And that's going to be your reality. So there is a growing movement of lots of different interconnected Luddite groups led and founded by Gen Z young adults in this country. There are now, they said, over a couple dozen of them in the country and growing more and more. The ironic part of this is that in order to gain visibility and new recruits, they do have to have a presence online.
Ironic.
That's how I found out that this Luddite group called the Lamp Club existed. I first want to show this video of them marching in protest in Manhattan. 100 people wearing gnome hats rallied at the Lamp Club's second annual anti-tech conference, mocking our screen addictions.
Don't ignore the gnome revolution.
Yes. I believe they're chanting in this video. Can you turn the volume on? They're coming to free the iPad babies.
We will free the iPad babies.
Bro, you're just gonna scare them.
They're scared.
Free the iPad babies. Even if it gives us rabies.
Why would the babies give you rabies? Is that what he said?
Because it rhymes.
Okay.
If it gives us rabies. We will free the iPad babies.
Okay.
They want to free this next generation. On a recent Saturday, a group of about 100 people in gnome hats gathered in Manhattan for, this is the actual title of the conference, the scathing hatred of information technology and the passionate hemorrhaging of our neoliberal experience conference. The unorthodox gathering was organized by the Lamp Club, a group for people with Luddite tendencies, or at least aspirations. It's kind of similar to maybe people who are dogmatically pro-technology because they aspire to ways that technology does not affect our lives currently. They're like, oh yeah, like sew up the Neuralink in my brain, but we're not near that point in history yet. The Lamp Club was founded by a 19-year-old girl at New School named Jackie McVorim. There's a photo of her featured in this New York Times piece, which has her hanging off of a tree, looking like a free spirit. She looks like a free thinker. You know, maybe she's a little bit boho. Maybe she smells like patchouli, but she's loving her life.
She took some inspiration from Jason Momoa.
Yeah. And I applaud her for her efforts. She is part of a growing ecosystem of neo-Luddite groups across the U.S. that encourage people to transform their relationship to technology. She said, or one member actually said, people in my generation search for themselves through technology. I'm trying to pay more attention to the ways I'm distracting myself or running away into my phone. So the Lamp Club is just one of more and more of these neo-Luddite groups. It's called Lamp Club because, according to Jackie, the founder, lamps just create that atmosphere.
There's a photo of the group together.
What atmosphere is she talking about?
An atmosphere without your phone going off.
Lamps?
Yeah.
Maybe she's talking about incandescent light bulbs. We all miss those.
I miss those so much.
Maybe that's what she's talking about.
Life was better when the street lights were orange.
Delicious yellow light everywhere. From the start, the group had a penchant for unorthodox gatherings. In keeping with the club's name, Jackie did not want to meet in conference rooms or classrooms, places with overhead lighting, the soul-sucking fluorescent
places
lights.
where you have jobs, right? Yeah.
One of its first events was Shoes Optional on campus. That was organized by her and a 21-year-old student. They wanted to break down some of the modern anxiety around in-person interaction by putting people in a slightly unfamiliar context. Some people felt liberated by it, but other people were like, that's nasty. She was undeterred. She wanted to understand her classmates who had been so opposed to the event. I think it all goes back to people feeling alienated from one another. She says this is part of a growing movement. So now it looks like these other clubs are called Luddite Club, Abstinence, Breaking the Gloom, organizations that for the most part were started not by parents wishing their teens would get off of their devices. It's you and that damn phone.
Get off that damn phone.
But by the teens themselves who fault phones for fraying human connections as well as accelerating inequality and climate change. You lost me. You lost me there.
So I was looking at it here, and I guess when I was watching that video of them marching forward to save the iPad babies, I was like, you know what? I can get behind it because it's like a avant-garde form of protest. It's some type of unique. At least they're not out. Oh, that lady's got a mask on. Never mind. This is.
Did you see masks?
I saw a mask.
Oh, lame.
So there's a strong connection. I still think that these days people wear their beliefs on their sleeves so readily that you can infer a great amount. But you shouldn't. You should still ask. You should still
never
ask.
judge a book by its
you
cover.
You can do that silently, but what I mean by this, you miss out on a lot of people if you just assume something about a person rather than actually asking them. You may be proven to be true.
Makes an ass out of you and me.
Exactly. So, well, everybody can make fun of that saying, but it exists for a reason. The point being that you can pretty much predict what these people are going to think beforehand, but it's nice to be surprised once in a while. Maybe there's one guy in there who's marching next to the lady in the mask and is like, you know what? I like the free market economy, and Rand Paul's not that bad.
You might think that it's hypocritical for Lamp Club and similar groups to reach out to people via social media, because that's the exact thing that they're railing against. But you can also look at it from the perspective of evangelization. Like, a lot of Christians say you have to be active on social media platforms like TikTok if you want to reach people that you want to hear your message.
This is true of any activist that bemoans capitalism but uses a capitalist creations platform to spread their word.
Use the master's tools, etc. Up until recently, Lamp Club used Instagram as a way to get the word out about their events through the group's page. Though the group's page is mainly photos of their flyers, its members printed and pasted on street corners or subways. They say, our digital presence is a fabricated personality. Please meet with us in person. Last month, they broke up with the platform, Instagram, with the message, we are leaving Instagram forever.
Bro, this is not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure.
And Jackie says, I just envision the world I want to live in with analog tools and live like that. People are sick of this march forward and having to view technology as progress, says another member. They don't want their time and attention to be commodified anymore. Now, here's where it gets a little annoying. She compared, one sociologist compared Lamp Club to the mid-century Situationist movement, a coalition of artists and left-wing intellectuals who, as the New York Times once put it, mixed surrealism, Marxism, and sometimes spectacular hedonism to level their critiques. Jackie views the Lamp Club as a project that goes beyond people's relationships with their phones. She herself has a flip phone. Her co-founder still uses a smartphone, though he plans to start using a light phone, the minimalist device that doesn't support social media sites or internet browsers. Mm-hmm. The group has an explicit anti-capitalist bent.
Yep, like I said.
Takes up larger social issues like atomization and alienation. McVoran, the 19-year-old girl that founded this, points to moments of antisocial rudeness that have become commonplace. People on their phones during dinner, not acknowledging someone holding open a door, feeling uncomfortable with boredom. People are isolated, she said.
If you hold a door open for someone, yes, it would be nice if they said thank you, but do it because it's the right thing to do, not because you need credit for it.
Don't next time you see an able-bodied, grown adult woman.
See,
how about you just don't?
Yeah. That one, you know.
Evil, sexist, chauvinist.
Like 2009 that happened. That like 2009 or 2010 that happened to me. That's crazy. So far ahead of it was on a college campus though, so that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that this girl's heart is in the right place, but like this is just repackaged social justice for people who have no self-control. But
and it does speak to just how addictive social media is, because what they're talking about there is you got to have a light phone. You got to get rid of your smartphone because most people don't have the self-control. If I want time off of X, which is increasingly less possible now because I've been putting out more content, I have to delete it from my phone. I can check it on the computer, but the barrier to entry that I have to like leave my wherever I'm sitting and go log on to a computer to do that is enough to do the trick. I don't go like I don't need to go check the computer to see what's going on X if I'm taking a break from the platform. But that's the way it is, and these platforms are unbelievably addictive. So yes, they have a fairly decent message, and I think getting kids off the internet more is a good thing. But of course it's tied into just to traditional Marxist leftism.
That's so unfortunate.
Yeah.
You know, like, because it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe not being a full-blown Luddite.
Yeah.
I don't presume that the founder, this 19-year-old girl, does intend to, you know, run off and live in the woods one day. But just the idea that people should be on their phones less is something we can all agree on, and yet you had to go and alienate so many people from agreeing with your message by aligning it with Marxism.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you have to do that?
You can't win.
Like, obviously, there are capital interests in the big tech companies. That's not to be disputed, but does that mean that, you know, capital in itself is somehow
I don't know if this
the
lady,
root of the problem?
I would love to know if this lady's just like has a rudimentary base level understanding of what capitalism is.
Well, she's a 19-year-old girl, so what do you
think? Or
think?
what Marxism is. Like, I want to know, does this lady, like, does she believe in the right to own private property? Does she believe in the right to, you know, to keep your wages, or should it all be run through the government, or is she just spouting buzzwords?
I don't think she thinks anything yet, because she's
19.
A fetus in school in Manhattan who's probably having her opinions dictated to her more than she believes.
Old enough to drive an automobile that could kill another human being if you do it wrong. Old enough to
so is a 14-year-old.
Hold yourself. Well, what, on farms?
No, 14-year-olds are allowed to drive.
15, right? Can't you get your permit at 15?
Depends on the state.
Oh.
A lot of states let you get your permit at 14.
Well, the point being, ladies and gentlemen, is that really any type of activist cause at all is going to creep its way into leftism at some point.
True.
There's very much, because the right-wing activists are at work.
Yeah. So. They interview one member of the group who said she stumbled on the protest as it started and was intrigued by the characters, you know, wearing the gnome hats. And she was sympathetic to their message, saying, "We didn't grow up with this technology, but these phones are so addictive." She's 66, by the way.
Okay.
We also loved seeing all of these young people taking a stand. That's nice.
That part works.
You know, like if you could just stumble upon their protest and think like, you know what, the kids are all right.
Yeah.
I'd rather you not look into it further.
There you go. All right. Let's go to Super Chats.
Brian Bledsoe said, Avatar is one of those that typically doesn't have record openings, but has lower than average drops week by week.
That's interesting. I guess I didn't remember. I mean, the first Avatar was so long ago that I don't know how that holds up to scrutiny.
Well, Way of Water, let's see what the Way of Water opening weekend looked like. What was that? Was it 2022 or 23?
2022. Opening weekend
150?
was 134 million.
Domestically. Yeah. And then
it's a lot.
Global opening of 441.
And made 2.3 billion at the box office. That is
so wild.
668 at the so think about this. It really is an international phenomenon. So Avatar: The Way of the Water. I'm not gonna adjust for inflation here, to be that what it may, but open to 668 million, which is like 60 million more than what Superman opened to this year.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sorry, I don't mean open. I mean domestic run. So it had a $668 million domestic run at the box office, which is what about Superman did. It's just that it made 1.6 billion at the international box office.
I want to bring up this tweet from Matt Walsh the other day in response to the Moana trailer. He said, everyone says the movie industry is collapsing because they keep churning out low-effort slop. But this is a shot-for-shot remake of a movie that came out 12 seconds ago, and it will make $100 trillion. He's hyperbole there, but you get the point. At the box office, the sad reality is that the low-effort slop is the only thing anyone will pay to see.
Look, everyone's coming around to what I've been saying since this channel started. You can say you want new shit all you want. You can claim that Hollywood's out of ideas, but most of America wants to be pigs at the trough. They do not care. They just want to be entertained for a few hours. It's not about it being original. It's about it not having the ham-fisted messaging in it. If they make Moana 37 and it's acceptable, people will go to see it.
Moana 37. Yeah. Save us. No, don't save us. Smite us, please. I said it wrong.
Yeah.
That was a slip.
There's a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie.
While picking up my fixed car, I popped the top and listened to you folks on the way home. The drive amplified previous thoughts that you both are a composite of all of my all-time favorite morning drive radio shows.
Let's go.
That is a high compliment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Junkie. Did I call you Junkie? Brian Bledsoe. Or no, this is from Shane H. Wilder. The smize looks more like the look Mary would give before announcing a new crusade after taking over as a supreme theological dictator. Well, you're correct, because I would smize in that situation. Let me try again. You have to, no mouth movement, just neutral mouth, smiling eyes. Is it working? Is it working? I don't feel like it's working. You're doing a good smize. You're doing well. Rural Conservative said hot ice cream, from what I can surmise, uses methyl cellulose. Methyl cellulose thickens when heated and liquefies when cooled.
Nothing.
Is that like gonna kill you? That sounds like something that's really not good to eat.
Most of what we eat today sounds like something you'd hear in like some type of scientific procedural show.
Like, how are you gonna dunk on the Baja Blast pie but not Tyra Banks hot ice cream? It's all slop. Methyl cellulose just doesn't sound like something that should be consumed by the human body.
I saw an unbelievable comment, since you just said slop, on the trailer for Rise of the Merlin for Pendragon Cycle that said that it looked like human-made AI slop. And I said to myself, oh, that's interesting. What the fuck does that even mean? Those are mutually exclusive terms. What does human-made AI slop mean?
Yeah, you brought that up and I was like, do they mean that it's both AI and man-made?
I guess
and therefore
it looks
slop?
like large language model made by prompt. Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I wasn't able to decipher.
I do know that people want slop. They pretend they don't, but they do.
Well, even the reason why it's such a frustrating thing to talk about is if you're one of those very, very few people who does actually show up to the theaters to support original stories, which are often lower budget, you can't fix the problem all on your own.
Those people are sectored off into Letterboxd and to, online, like cinephiles who want to debate. They're like the movie version of gun tubers who want to argue all day. That's fine. But it's not indicative of the regular audience.
It's super Reddit.
Half-Baked Treehouse on Rumble says, I only sit Indian style, never crisscross applesauce. As a strong POMC, I won't let those D-bags erase my culture. R.I.P. Aunt Jemima.
Wait, what is a POMC?
I have no idea.
Person of many colors?
Okay.
I don't know. And I don't know what it means to sit Indian style either.
Crisscross applesauce.
But he said he doesn't do that.
I think he was saying that he only uses one. He only calls it the one. Is what I think is that supposed to be saying.
Okay, got it. Samir Navarre said, "I'm behind 20 minutes. How would you solve the loneliness issue to a lonely person?" You know what? I think a lot of people choose loneliness because it requires less of them.
I guess
so you have to make the trade-offs of actually being around people who are not always pleasant to be around. I think that's one thing that's causing people to be lonely is a lot of antisocial attitudes.
Yeah, you imagine a world where every human interaction is good all the time, and that's just not the way that things are. One of the most narcissistic aspects of society right now, it's like what you were talking about yesterday, where the lady's like, I don't have the bandwidth for this right now.
I don't have the capacity.
Which is designed to be like, look at how polite she was, to put herself first but respond in a cordial way. It's your duty as a human being to take others into consideration. And sometimes you do have to put yourself second if you want to live in a society where you're going to have friends and people in your life. Not always, but sometimes it's going to be asked of you. You should think of that as an honor and a duty to perform for others, to be able to take others' needs and things into consideration, but also advocate for yourself. It's a delicate balancing act, but we have our very narcissistic society that wants to take your own comfort and your own needs first all the time, and that's not how it works.
I think this is a Kurt Vonnegut quote. He said, "You should know that when a husband and wife fight, it may seem to be about money or sex or power, but what they're really yelling at each other about is loneliness. What they're really saying is, you are not enough people. You're expecting one person to comprise your entire community." That's a problem where people are married and lonely.
So is that why men are always turning off all the lights? They're fighting about the power in the apartment. They said we're using too much electricity.
The power bill.
I always suspected.
Yeah. So yeah, the loneliness thing isn't even just about romantic relationships. But I think that you have to deny yourself a lot to get the benefits of a rich social life and community.
So this is something I've actually gone through. Like, now that I am married, I go to Christmases and holidays with new family members who have been unbelievably kind and welcoming to me. It's an amazing experience. But as somebody who is generally more introverted, I get home at the end of the day and I'm like, damn. Holy shit. Okay. But I do so with gratitude. I go to these things with gratitude because they're amazing people. And it's amazing to have people in your life that you can share these things with. There's a reason why family gatherings fall apart when grandparents die or pass on, right? Because people start to live in their own lives and they don't have that person that's holding it together. You need to want to be the person that holds it together for everyone. Maybe that's not asked of you. You know, like, that's certainly not asked of me as yet in my lifetime, but it takes a tremendous amount of courage and desire to kind of remove yourself from your own narcissistic tendencies if you want to live a life that's fulfilled with others.
I guess I just pointed out another problem when you asked for the solution, but...
What was the other problem?
that people are too selfish to stop being lonely. Yeah. But the solution would be to work on their own selfishness. Kay said, "John Pork taught me how to run up a goofy check." What does that mean? Do you know what that means?
John Pork is a dude.
Well, I know who John Pork is, but
I have no idea what that means.
What does this have to do with John Pork?
I'm Unk, remember? 6'7".
Okay. Brian Bledsoe said, "Agreed, Mary. I've been to 49 states so far and don't care to complete the 50 because I have no desire to go to Hawaii. Finally, my people." Like, I think I've said this before, and Phil was like, "What are you talking about?" It's a boomer vacation spot. Like, every boomer was obsessed with the idea of vacationing in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. I am more the type that would like to go, to a historic downtown and walk around cobblestone than beach and disgustingly large centipedes getting into my Airbnb. How about that?
There you go.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Can we go back to calling it Indian style?" I mean, you first, I guess. You have to be the change. Not that, Jon Stewart. Already read that one. Twisted Tree said, "When are you going to stream on Twitch to equalize the brainwashed woke folks?"
I don't think I've ever even considered streaming on Twitch. Maybe we should.
I don't think that would give us any... would it get us a new audience? I feel like most people who stream on Twitch, they become popular on the platform because they literally just sit there and, like, react to something in the chat or, like, sit there and eat food.
I can do that. Okay, so what you're saying is you want me to hot tub stream.
Or there's obviously gaming streams as well, which is something we don't do.
I will hot tub stream for you guys. Since you've asked so ardently, I will do it.
It doesn't seem like our bag. And I also am because I don't understand why people watch Twitch streams. Like, you see these clips from Twitch streams that are the highlights. And even the highlight is them just sitting there.
Like, oh.
Yeah, like, I don't get it.
I've changed my mind. Next Wednesday, since I was going to do a mini show next Wednesday doing covering topics that I normally would cover before the show, but I think I've changed my mind. I'm just going to sit here, eat, and react to slop.
I said, like, we need to do a mukbang again. We did one in the channel history. Thumper sent us a 20. Mary, I know you're not a fan of Apple TV, but Tim is right. Pluribus is amazing. You should give it a chance. Oh, hey, Bread. Not a typo.
I'm the one who's not a fan of Apple TV.
I never said anything negative about Apple TV. I actually did like the first season of Severance. I think I watched the second one, but now I forget.
Apple TV is for people that have been shoved into lockers their whole lives.
I don't have any streaming services other than Tubi, okay? You guys know this about me. Shane H. Wilder.
Pirate Tubi.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. It's called Tubi.
Tubi Bay.
And I have Tubi Plus, by the way. Shane H. Wilder said, this is just an example of wanting to do the right thing for all the wrong reasons. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to cut them some slack, Brett. But you were just kind of like anti. It's weird because you were so pro Scream Club, but so anti Lamp Club. What happened?
Just a different day.
Different mood?
Did we use the phrase Did we use the phrase Marxism and capitalism during the Scream Club discussion?
Well, no, but there was some language about it attracting like women who aren't allowed to express their rage, right?
I guess.
There was a little bit of that too.
I was feeling charitable that day.
You must have been in a much better mood. We have a 20 from, where is this? I'm not going to say that out loud.
Yeah, that's okay.
Long-time listener, first-time chatter. I never catch y'all live. I listen at work. I don't get how y'all don't have at least 1 million subs. You guys are freaking great. I've done some of my best work with y'all in my ear.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, we just passed 380,000 subscribers.
Oh, I didn't even notice that we did that.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. Well, we were in like a dry spell for like a month or two there, where like sub growth was like really, really bad, but it's picked back up again. But thank you so much for watching and for that compliment.
But that's a good question. Why don't we
have 1 million subscribers?
More than 1 million subs.
Because the deep state is keeping us down. They're using USAID to fund these clearly botted podcasts when they should be helping goated podcasts like ours.
It's because YouTube is woke.
It's
obviously
so woke.
Well, I appreciate that. We always appreciate when people listen.
We've got a contrary, though. JH in the chat says this show. He says that show sucks. Very boring. I thought you were saying this show sucks. Very boring. I was gonna let's even it out here.
Nah.
This guy says that we suck. That's fine. When I posted that picture yesterday of me like fat and me less fat, some of the mean stuff people said was like me, like I was laughing for like an hour last night.
What did they say?
How
is there a way to be mean to someone who got skinny?
They found a way.
Thank you.
It was good though. It was clever.
What did they say? Now I want to know. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Like one of the comments was like how did your eyes get so close together?
Well,
and
it was
but there were some like really clever ones about it. Like I was like, well, actually, it was surgery. I tried to become a Cyclops, but this was the best the doctor could do. I like the one that said like before making Wicked, after making Wicked, which was that's
good.
clever.
I like that. There was like a really photorealistic Photoshop of Ariana Grande that was on my timeline recently. I fell for it at first. That's basically what she would look like 10 pounds lighter though.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a difference. Greg Duvier said, so no more Mary on IRL? Well, that's not to say never again on IRL, but since I'm not going to be living here anymore, it's going to be much more difficult to have me on
Mary
IRL.
forces them to put like a camera in her chair, like a screen in her chair.
I made jokes about how it's going to be like, you're only going to get this reference if you're an Elder Zoomer, but Ned's Declassified, they had that one teacher that was always rolled around on the cart with the big TV. Not even the young Zoomers would remember
Honestly, like that is something millennials remember though, like when it was movie day in class and they
I had that when I was younger.
Like I like the idea that they just move the chair out of the way and they wheel in like a tube TV with you in the chair.
We wheeled in the tube TV when I was in elementary school, and then that was replaced by the projectors in every classroom. Yep. Did you ever have those?
Which one?
Well, we had the system where it was like the smart board.
We didn't have a smart board. We had like a projector that she wrote on with like a marker.
Yeah. Greg Duvier said, the Manic Mustache said, the YouTubes won't let me sit the way I want to. How are they stopping you from sitting the way you want to?
Because they probably won't let him super chat the word.
Rural Conservative said, Mary, if you weren't in media, what would you like to do as a job? It depends on what you mean by in media, because I think most jobs that I was interested in and still am interested in are related somehow to media. So, like, love to be a producer in reality TV.
Yeah.
I would love...
That fits you very well.
I might, consider journalism if I could do it without a degree. And independently. I like the idea of working in PR, but not in the traditional way, like following someone like Vanessa's footsteps. I like that idea. And I was also like volunteering in political campaigns before this job and the pro-life movement, so maybe something like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Lots of things. I was just thinking the other day, like, I'm totally smart enough to be a lawyer, but I just chose to do more important things with my life, like TikTok. Yeah. Like, I totally could have done that.
You still could.
Most people wouldn't get it.
It's a 20 there from that.
The same person. LOL, can I be Mr. Lotta Tuna?
Yes, I suppose so.
That's acceptable, since Mary won't let my username slide. Also, common, my name's not that bad compared to some. Yeah, I have omitted someone's username for less. But yeah, sure, we can call you that if that's what you want.
I see people talking about chalkboards. I hate the sound of chalk on chalkboards.
Really? I love it.
I hate that sound. Like nails on a chalkboard sucks, but not as bad to me as frickin' actual chalk on a chalkboard.
No, it's not quite like this.
No, it's different.
It's like this.
Still not even close to like how awful it is to me.
Rural Conservative, Man Bear Cow TV said, Mary, let's go to Kentucky Derby. We can get dressed up all old-fashioned and drink bourbon. Cheers. Well, you seem like a lot of fun.
That was a good pitch right there.
You know what? I would love to go to Kentucky Derby someday. So maybe I'll see you there. That's a good sell though. We have a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. My plugged-in retired Fox News person has said that the repurposing issues involving the 15-year-old podcast may not be over. It may end up being a lawyer fest over work-for-hire contractual issues.
I mean, that's like, it's Fox News. Like, they've got the money to fund their own version of this podcast.
But they also have the money to just descend their legal team on anybody.
Yeah, but the point is like you want to, the point of licensing is to eliminate all of those extraneous expenses that come from the production of it. Like now it's just going to be, you're just making it worse for yourself.
Right. Shane H. Wilder said, I finished 2 weeks till Christmas. I will be out on December 8th. Everyone will be in it. Y'all's scene was fun, but Kellen and Cashman crashed my PC.
Damn.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Brian Bledsoe said, Brett, how dare you put the thought of a bathtub stream as we go into the weekend? I'm going to need to bleach my brain now.
It was not a bathtub stream. It was a hot tub stream. Those are different things.
Yeah. Classy Twitch streamers do the bathtub stream.
Correct.
Or sorry, no, the hot tub stream.
Correct.
The trashy Twitch streamers are in the bathtub. What, I haven't seen that before though. I think that would be against the rules. Not that Jon Stewart. said Mary on her last day on set, frick you, frick you, frick you, you're cool, frick you, I'm out. Yeah. Thank you for censoring the foul language. Not that Jon Stewart. But no, there's nothing but positive energy. We are going on an outing after this show. Not saying where, obviously. But yeah, it's all, you know, totally positive.
And it is not her last day in the studio because we've got Monday and Tuesday next week.
Yeah, and it's Monday and Tuesday next week before Thanksgiving. And by the way, in case anyone might have thought that Tim wasn't aware of the change, he absolutely is aware of the change. It was something that I talked to him about first, and then we started the process of making it possible. Yep. So.
All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel. If you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. We did pass 380,000 subscribers. We thank you guys so much for all the support, and we hope for your continued support as we go through these changes here on the channel. I think it's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for that. As I said, remember, interview tomorrow with Dallas, 8 a.m. I'm excited for you guys to hear what he has to say. I'm excited to do more interviews like that. I think they're great. And remember, the Pop Culture Crisis Weekend Update will be out on Saturday at 5 p.m. Another thing that I've enjoyed a lot doing. And remember, we are doing the show Monday and Tuesday next week. And then Wednesday next week, I'm going to put some stuff together. And I'm just going to hang out with you guys just as a way to, you know, kind of lead into the holidays, because Thursday is Thanksgiving. And there is so much in life to be thankful for. And then as for the week after that, we will see. I'm debating between doing shows similar to that 1 hour episodes where we cover some topics and then we go through the chat, or possibly just doing segments as I've done in the past when we weren't running shows, but we'll wait and see. Perhaps leave me some comments on X what you'd like to see for that week while Mary is, you know, getting things moved and everything that's going on. I would be interested in your feedback. And again, thank you guys so much for supporting the show. And Mary has coffee.
Yes, I do. Go head over to castbrew.com if you haven't already gotten yourself a bag of Mary's Ghost Blend, my s'mores flavored coffee. I'm in dangerous territory now with Christmas coming up. Phil's going to eclipse me, but don't let it happen. Yeah, if you're a real fan.
I suppose he's got the benefit of, like, it just holds out all year.
Damn it.
You know what it is that makes him Mariah Carey, where she makes all her money in the Christmas.
He's thawing out right now. Oh, I hate it. We have a few more super chats, though, before I sign off. High Voltage 75 said, but who will beat Brett if Mary leaves the studio? Don't worry, I have connections. I have, you know, I can pull some strings. We can make it happen.
And as you guys know, there's nobody in this channel that's harder on me than myself.
Not that Jon Stewart said, wasn't my choice. Super chats made me censor it. Okay, well, we appreciate YouTube then. And we have another 20 from Not That Jon Stewart. I like turtles for another party, hopefully. Thank you very much for the fourth party today.
I don't know if has that one gone through yet on the... Oh, it has not?
It's not visible yet, but that's going to happen in a second.
I did my whole spiel beforehand because I keep getting interrupted every time I'm trying to give notices lately with crisis parties.
Yes, I'm glad you did that. You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
So now we're...
now we wait.
We wait to see if it interrupts me while I'm doing my outro. I have no doubt that it will. Guys, if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on all of those platforms. We are here generally 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific, as you guys know. Next week is not a traditional week. I do hope you'll tune in Monday and Tuesday and check out the Wednesday, you know, short episode as well that I'll be putting together right before Thanksgiving. If you want to listen to us on audio platforms, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, all great ways in which you can listen to the channel. You can also rate and review on Apple Podcast and on Spotify, which is another way to help the channel out. And if you want to follow us on social media, Twix at @popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod.
Thank you, guys.
I was talking slower than normal.
Straight Ribbon 93 said he stole my turtle line. WTF?
That's rude, bro.
It belongs to all of us now. And Pop Culture Junkie said, Mary, did you make an announcement at the top of the show that I missed? Oh, you might not have tuned in by then.
Hold. See, now you know what it feels like. Hold on.
Fake party. Fake party. Not real.
You can do that with the,
yeah.
There's the legs.
Pop Culture Junkie, you might have tuned in late. What we talked about at the end of yesterday's episode, and we have answered questions about it throughout this episode, is me moving and going remote. There you go.
There you go.
You have clarity you need. Okay.
With that being said,
we have one more from High Voltage 75 saying, I like turtles and bubes.
Bubes. With that fantastic and insightful super chat ending the show, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode on Monday. We will see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.